Hello everyone, and welcome to our video on 8 ways to flunk your federal retirement, and more importantly, ways to avoid those pitfalls. My name is Evan Radin. I'm a certified financial planner with Capital Financial Planners, and I'm excited to talk about this topic with you guys. Let's get started. The first way to flunk your federal retirement is to lose your sense of purpose. This means you're going into your retirement and don't really know what you want to do with your time after. There's a term in the Japanese language called ikigai, which is all about finding purpose and fulfillment in life. And the idea is to find activities that fill up all these different circles here. Doing things that you love, doing things that you're good at, things you can be paid for, and doing things that the world needs. In a perfect world, we're doing things that cover all these different areas. But even if you can find activities that cover two or three of these different areas, that'll lead to a very fulfilling retirement. The next way to flunk your federal retirement is to misunderstand your pension calculation. The current formula to calculate the first pension is the high three salary multiplied by your total years of creditable service multiplied by a factor, whether that's 1 or 1.1%. To get the 1.1%, you need to reach at least age 60 and have at least 20 years of service years. You need to have a really good idea of your service credit history because that is one of the factors in that pension calculation. So make sure that you talk to HR and make sure that they have the accurate estimate and plan early. Use the OPM retirement calculator. Make sure you have that good idea of your total credit years to make sure that you have a good idea of what you're going to get from your pension. Ignoring the power of the TSP. This is a big one. So we need to make sure that we're contributing at least 5% into the TSP in order to get the full 5% match from the government. The reason that's so important is that it's already 100% rate of return on the funds that you put into the TSP. And the power of compounding interest over time is extremely powerful. So making sure that we're doing that 5% contribution, whether that's to the pre-tax or the Roth side, to get that full 5% match, extremely important. And also doing an annual review of your TSP and keeping tabs on your allocation. The reason that this is so important is things change over time. Your risk tolerance changes, tax laws change, and also we can be opportunistic in the market, not necessarily timing the market, but there are good times to get more aggressive or more conservative. Not knowing the various types of retirement. You're probably familiar with the one on the top left, the immediate retirement. This is your full eligibility to get your full pension and keeping all your benefits into retirement. The ways to get the immediate pension is reaching your MRA with 30 years of service, reaching age 60 with at least 20 years of service, or reaching age 62 with the 5 years of service. The different options on the right are the postponed, the deferred, and the early. The postponed is you leave after your minimum retirement age, but you haven't fully qualified for the immediate. So you elect to wait to start your pension in order to not receive a reduction, but during that time, you do lose the FEHB coverage. The deferred is if you leave before your minimum retirement age, so you elect to start your pension down the road, whether that's at age, your minimum retirement age, 60 or 62. The early is the counterpart to the postponed. Early is if you have reached your minimum retirement age with at least 10 years of service, but instead of waiting until age 60 or 62, you elect to start your pension early, but there is a penalty to do so where each year that you start it early is a 5% reduction of your pension permanently. And there's a way to be strategic of the timing of your retirement. With the FERS, it is strategic to retire at the end of the month and ideally towards the end of the calendar year. The reason for that is we'd rather the annual leave payout hit in a year where we have lower income. So it might be taxed at a lower tax bracket. And CSRS, we don't see too much of this anymore, but the strategy there is to retire on the first 3 days of the month for the annuity to begin that month. Understanding healthcare costs in retirement is a big one. So, in order to qualify to continue FEHB into retirement, you need to be enrolled in FEHB the 5 years leading into retirement. And sometimes we have clients who enroll in Medicare Part B. Sometimes people elect not to enroll in Part B. And the main factor there, if you have the FEHB, of course, the main factor there is your income, because Medicare Part B is based on your modified adjusted gross income. So if you have a really high modified adjusted gross income, the premiums that you're paying for Medicare Part B can be pretty high. So having a good idea of the strategy of whether you're going to dual enroll or just carry FEHB is really important. As I mentioned, healthcare costs is one of the biggest ticket items in retirement. So having a budget and a plan for those costs is extremely important heading into retirement. Next, survivor benefit planning. As you may know, there are 3 options for the benefit on your pension: the full, the partial, or electing no survivorship benefits. The full, the 50%, where predeceased your survivor, they continue to receive 50% of your gross pension. The cost for that, when you're receiving your pension, to pay a 10% reduction on that pension. The partial is a 2% survivorship option, meaning if you use your survivor, they receive 25% gross pension, but along you're paying a 5% essentially insurance for that along the way. You could elect no survivor benefit. So it's really important to discuss with your spouse, informed choice, have a very important thing to find is if you are a survivor to continue FE, if you predeceased, they need to be enrolled in a survivor benefit option, meaning they need to be receiving 50 or 20% of the pension and to continue that FEHB coverage. Another pitfall is just winging it going into retirement, meaning you're saying, I know I'm going to get about this amount for my pension and about this amount from Social Security, whether I started at 62 or full retirement age or after, and I have a good TSP balance, I'll pull from it when I need it. If you fail to have a plan, you are planning to fail. Great quote by Benjamin Franklin. Having a very detailed distribution strategy is extremely important heading into your retirement. To summarize here, to have a very successful retirement, you need to have activities that lead to a life, have a really good idea of calculation, don't ignore the power of the TSPs and being invested appropriately, understand pension options, timing your retirement, again, not a make or break, be as efficient as possible, good idea your medical costs are going, and having a plan for how to keep your fee and whether if or not you're going to care part. Being strategic, your survivor benefit election, not just winging it going into it. Thank you for joining me today. If you want a complimentary consultation with one of our advisors, please scan the QR code on the left. And as always, the QR code on the right, please subscribe to our channel. Really helps. Thanks for your time and hope you have a good one. Thanks.